Good evening, everyone, and to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Yeah, we're still around and we are back together. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware. And they got mulch. They do. They have mulch. And they're getting ready for spring. So you'll be ready for spring to get your yard in order. So give them a call. They're at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon. 631-756-1125. And their website is omnitruevalue.com, and also brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, 631-957-5106. And their website is liholidaylighting.com, your holiday lighting specialist, and they'll meet all your decorating needs when the time comes. And well, we're already into almost into March, Joe, which means Easter isn't too far away, and also St. Patrick's Day.
Easter this year comes, I think, on April 6th.
Okay,
so it's a little early this year.
All right, and you got St. Patty's Day and St. Joseph's Day and all the rest of it. I want to show everybody, by the way, that Joe is among the living. Joe, I was accused last night by a troll of trying to kill you.
I'll tell you what tried to kill me. It was the heavy, wet, slushy, unexpected 3.6 inches topped off by a thin coating of ice. That's what tried to kill me yesterday.
Well, this person said that my forecast was way off. I actually gave you a couple of inches, but I didn't give you 3. But my forecast was way off, and that it was trash, and that I was deliberately trying to kill you. So he is.
No, the thing is, on Saturday night, I had said, and I posted this on Facebook, that I didn't really think very much of what was going to happen on Monday. I looked at at all the models. They suggested that we were going to see low-level mild air, which would probably cause the snow to come down, as big fat flakes, not accumulate all that much. And I didn't look at a single weather map from that moment, from Saturday night all through Sunday and on into the first part of Monday, because I was doing other things. I was involved in another project. And so when my wife said, "It's snowing," I said, "Yeah, big deal." And then she said, "It's sticking." I said, "Really?" And I looked outside, there was a light coating. I said, "Well, it's going to change over soon." And it never did.
No, it didn't.
It never did. And I saw Bill Goodman had posted on his Facebook page that the models had made a sudden change toward colder conditions.
Yes, they did.
On Sunday and Sunday night, and that they very rapidly, they being the staff at the National Weather Service, they posted winter weather advisories, which again I wasn't even aware of. I was not looking at the weather, didn't think much of this because I looked at it on Saturday and I said, this is not going to be any big deal. And then about 4:00, I looked out the window and I said, I guess we're going to have to go out and get rid of this stuff.
Yeah. And Sunday afternoon, when I saw the NAM come in, and also I, seeing that it was colder, I whipped up a snowfall forecast map rather quickly, and it would have been. It was actually very good for Central PA and for South Central PA, but if I had only I had the trace line running through New York City and the North Shore of Long Island, which was kind of close, but the 2-inch line needed to be, the 1-inch line, the 2-inch line needed to be about maybe 30 or 40 miles further to the east, and so did the 3-inch line. By the way, yeah. That was rather odd. Another odd part of that event was Sunday evening when you mentioned about the winter weather advisories, because I couldn't understand this. So Mount Holly, and they have coverage of southeast PA, and then it goes up to a few counties in northeast PA, and State College has the rest of them. So. And of course, they have most of New Jersey except the northeastern counties. So they put up a winter weather advisory for the Pennsylvania counties, which made total sense. Okay. and then they put it up for Warren County, but not for Sussex County, which I thought was really strange. So I couldn't, but and to right up until now, I still don't know why they did this. They put it up for Warren County. I looked at the forecast for Sussex County. It was identical to the one for Warren County, where they went for 2 to 4 inches up in that area. And I kept thinking, well, the start time is going to be the same. It's probably going to start 5 minutes later in Sussex County than it would in Warren County. I just did not understand why they did not include. So then eventually they did include it, but and a bunch of others too. But I just thought that was just really odd, and I was going to message them and say, "Can you explain this to me? Because I'm just kind of trying to understand it." But I decided no, I didn't want to come across as being critical or anything like that. Um, but we did also, by the way, and I talked about it last night, and it was I took it as the when I first read it, I was weird, but I know you're going to have a similar reaction than I did. But we had a comment on our YouTube video, I guess the one from Thursday, or maybe it was on my Weather in 5 videos, which I did anyway over the weekend, that you and I are not allowed to take off together. I was they we one of us needs to be on when the other one is off. That was the proclamation, and I looked at that and I thought, oh my God, I'm getting an email from management here. But after I just like took a minute, took a breath,
And that's what they used to, and that's what they used to do.
yeah, they used to do to
At
us.
iOS one, we used to get that kind of stuff. And for example, um, one of us had to be there, and more often than not, it was both of us anyway, on the major holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Neither both of us were not allowed to take off
And
simultaneously
which
and
made
at the
no
same time.
sense at all. I mean, nothing that management ever does made any sense. And
Nor were we allowed. Nor you hear people says, I'm taking my 2 weeks off. I'm going up to the mountains or go fishing. Something. We were not allowed to take 2 weeks off. We could take 1 week off, but we were not allowed to take 2 consecutive weeks.
yeah,
Amazing.
that's another thing that was ridiculous. That was just made
Yes.
absolutely no sense. And of course, if you didn't use your vacation time by the time the year ended, you lost it anyway. So
Right.
which was preposterous and somewhat shady, if you ask me. But that's neither here nor there. Um, so anyway, but I took it as a compliment that they just can't live without us, Joe. They can't
Well, I
live
went.
without us.
I tuned in. I tuned in here on this channel at 5:15 simply because I wanted to get the URL so I could put it on my Facebook page. Tell everybody to watch us at 7:30. 5:15, and I'm not going to mention who it was, but there was one person on the chat board, and I'm saying to myself, there's one person 2 hours and 15 minutes before we even start.
No, it's wonderful. They get on it. Sometimes if I put the link up really early, every once in a while, I'll do it in the morning if I've got things to do in the afternoon. So I'll put the link up early, and the people are already popping on there. It's I think it's wonderful. It's great that folks on the chat board get on early. And I have to tell you, last night too was the first time I soloed a show in a long, long time. Uh, yeah, I had a rough time without you. I just want you to know
I was on the couch, and for
that.
some reason
Nice.
my in fact for whatever reason my wife was on the chat last night. She's there. I'm not.
Yeah,
I say, what are you,
I did see her there. Yes.
I just could not. I would have been useless last night, Joe. I had not looked at anything, and I think it was like 6:30 or 6:40 when we got inside, and that's like 50 minutes to go to the show, and we hadn't even had anything to eat yet, and I was all wet and bedraggled. I said, "There's no way in the world I'm going to be in the state of mind to do a show tonight at seven
I hear you.
at 7:30."
So I'm all excited because I went out today and I bought a large second monitor, and I have it up to the side here, so I have the chat board is up and I can see everybody, doing their thing, and I can actually read it because the monitor is big, so the print is large enough, and that's a great thing. And welcome everybody, David Fuller. our first super chat hit of the night, Joe. Thank you, David, for all that. And I'm just trying to think if there was any other general announcements. No, I don't. I don't recall. I don't have anything else. I wanted to bring up. Do you?
No, and really, there's not much to talk about. I think we're going to have a week, a little minor front move through tomorrow evening with maybe a shower, and then it will turn dry. And next few days, milder temperatures, helping to melt all the white stuff up here.
Did you get any? Did you get any snow today?
Yes, we did. We had a little bit of snow that fell, during the late morning hours. I didn't even want to look at it. I said, just go away. I hear that in portions of northeast Pennsylvania they had close to an inch, but we did not have, thank God, anything like that locally here, at least this afternoon.
Yeah, it didn't really look like any. This one really didn't look like it was going to be much of a, for much of a surprise. Now, we always talk about upside when it comes to snow, but what about temperatures for tomorrow? This is the kind, we're in late February, and sometimes when you get the right setup in late February, if you've got the right wind, like a west wind, and you have a decent amount of sunshine, there are instances where we can be much higher than what the models are telling us, and you wind up busting through highs by 5 to 10 degrees sometimes. The forecast highs. So I'm seeing, Weather Service numbers. They're going upper 50s down and near 60 around Washington D.C., Baltimore, and points south. I made it to 60. I'm down in Georgia, so I made it to 61 today, and probably going to get close to 70 tomorrow. But they got 50s. New York, they're going 49 for New York City, 52, 53 for Philadelphia, 52 for Harrisburg, 47 for your house, 47 for Danbury, 47 for Hartford. You think there's any room for a little upside here tomorrow if we get enough sun and a west wind?
Actually, I think we're going to be seeing more of a south-southwest wind. I think here where I am, and I tend to be very similar to, well, somewhere between the temperatures they see at Newburgh and at Danbury in Connecticut. So I'm thinking that we're going to see here locally low to mid 40s tomorrow. New York probably has a good shot at getting to 50 tomorrow. So we're going to have a lot of sunshine. There'll be some high clouds coming in advance of that fast moving front that I mentioned later in the day tomorrow. But it should be a pretty decent day, maybe one of the nicer days that we've had around here for a good number of days. In fact, I can tell you, we had, I think, not more than a week ago, we had a day where I think it was on a Monday, we hit 49 degrees, or maybe it was a Sunday or Monday, 49. And I said, well, enjoy it while it lasts because we're going to turn colder and we were expecting more snow. And sure enough, that was the case. So tomorrow might be the nicest day that we've had around here in more than a week. And I'm looking forward to it.
Well, yeah. With all the snow cover on the ground, that was one of the things, by the way, that long stretch. I got the satellite loop up on the screen. You can see all the clouds are kind of lined up right along the northern part of the U.S. and running pretty much straight west to east. We've been saying how there's been no blocking at all. So everything's just kind of moving along. We get these shots of chilly air. They move out. You get a warm up. Next front moves through. Will chill down, and on it goes. Um, the southern half of the U.S., Joe, looking really dandy here. I mean, just lots of sunshine, through much of the southern
I
half of the
saw I
United
saw a
States.
picture of our I saw a picture of our dear friend Addison Green, who lives and works for a television station in the Houston area in Texas. Last week, Addison posted an image of him. He had bought a bucket for $3 and was filling it up with water from the pool that they had in
Yeah, I
the
know
local.
that was terrible.
Trying to use it on his toilet or
Yeah, because
in
he
his
had
toilet.
electricity, but he had no water.
Correct. And today there was a picture of him with a big smile on his face, enjoying the fact that I think it got up to 76 degrees in Houston. So
Nice.
quite a comeback from last week.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, speaking of satellites, and I think this is something I'm really excited about this. But I got an email today, and I signed up, and I paid my money. But the Starlink internet service from via satellite is uh, is coming online, and this area I'm in is one of the first eligible areas for it. So sometime in the next couple of months, and hopefully not much longer than that, um, I'll have an internet connection that'll be absolutely lightning speed. And so I'm really excited about that. That'll at least take care of whatever technical issues that I've been having from here from time to time with buffering and everything else. So everybody will be happy. Sometime maybe before the summer, um, I'll be on super high speed satellite internet service, which will,
So now, are you down in Georgia now for
I,
good, or
no, I'm down for I'm down probably till I'll be back up at the end of March. I had some things I had to take care of, so I am operating in the Peach State.
okay? So there you go, folks. So when you're going to get your next and hopefully last shot of wintry conditions, will probably be when Chiapi returns late in March.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if it happens any sooner, unlike the last time, I'm not coming up for it.
Uh,
I had my fill while I was there. And by the
yeah.
way, um, so I think the snow from Thursday of last week. So it snowed all day Friday, and we wound up with uh, another 2 to 3 inches across Long Island. And then on Saturday, when the upper trough came through, it was snow showers, Joe, almost all day long. Bill Goodman
Oh,
messaged Bill Goodman messaged me at 7 in the morning, and he just with 3 words, "Make it stop."
yeah.
it, it just wouldn't
Yeah.
stop, and
We
all day long. It didn't accumulate, other than odd coatings here and there, but it was all day stuff that was just coming off of Long Island Sound in the northwest flow with the upper trough there. Finally, at about 7 o'clock Saturday evening, it shut off. So I got to go back and look at the islip obs to see how many hours in a row uh, now some of that time it went over to sleet and freezing drizzle and all the rest of it, so it wasn't snowing all straight through. But I'm just kind of curious as to how long. It might have gone like 60 hours straight with wintry precip in there. And of course, if you weren't on last night, Joe, we got the new radar up thanks to you, Car, the U.S. radar, which is pleasant to the eye and meets the approval of Bill Rogers of Vermont, who I don't see on the chat board tonight. Doug Wetzel, by the way, just hitting super chat. Thank you, Douglas, for the cup of coffee emoji. And Joe and I certainly appreciate that. Still a couple of leftover showers snow showers up in upstate New York. You're seeing them on the radar tonight, and a little bit of activity in and around the Boston area, and also seeing some activity now moving into parts of Wisconsin through the northern plains, scattered up through Montana and on up into the Pacific Northwest. It's basically everything is to the pretty much draw a line along 40 degrees north latitude. Everything is north of there and south of there. The radars are silent, clear down to Florida.
You talk about Saturday, Joe. 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday of last weekend, I scraped away a lot of the stuff that was lingering on the deck and
Mm-hmm.
also on my driveway and especially my back patio. And 4 o'clock, 3 hours later, we had a heavy duty snow shower and everything was white once again. And at that point, I just wanted to take my head and just bang it up against the wall. I mean, this was not a good week if you aren't particularly keen on snow. And I'm happy to say that over the next 7 days, it really doesn't look like we're going to see much, if any, threat of snow coming. But the thing that's really going to get me PO'd is the fact that, yeah, I said, backloaded winter, and I said, yeah, Central Park, 40 inches. Central Park is now, I think, at 30, 38 point
8.2.
something.
38.2.
And let me tell you something. If they don't get that last 1.8 inches to make it to 40, I'm gonna go bazonkers.
Joe, for all intents and purposes, it's 40. Okay, it really is. Um,
I want
it's
40,
close
Joe.
enough. What's that? You want
I want 40.
you want 1.7. Well, look, the odds are very much in your favor. I'll tell you what I think about. Well, I'll tell you what I think when we get to. Let me run through. Let's run through a couple of more maps here. As far as watches and warnings are concerned tonight, really not too much going on. Northern Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan with winter weather advisories, and also back from northwestern Minnesota across northern North Dakota into northeastern Montana. Seeing winter weather advisories there, a scattering of them through the Rockies, and we've got avalanche warnings up in northwestern Montana and northern Idaho. Winter storm warnings in the Cascades in Washington. A couple of other odd wind advisories here and there, including one in northwestern Virginia and Johnny Quest country, western Maryland, and northeastern West Virginia, having some wind issues tonight. But other than actually, maybe that I didn't even read the wind advisory. Maybe it's not for tonight. Maybe it's for tomorrow, with ahead of the cold front. Fine weather guy I am, and I didn't check that specifically. So I'm going to bring up the upper air as soon as the circle of death is done. By the way, I have noticed a few people experiencing some buffering issues to that. I apologize. I did just make an adjustment here to increase my bit rate a little bit. I'm playing with fire, but I'm taking a shot here. So no block, but there are a couple of interesting things that I noticed in the longer range, Joe. One of the things, well, first off, we've got this shot of chilly air that's coming in for Thursday and Friday, and we actually do have, at least temporarily, a flow coming from northwest Canada for Thursday and Friday. It's not an especially cold flow, but it's at least enough to bring temperatures down to seasonal levels. That setup in the upper air is not going to last very long because the trough in the east pulls out, and then we get one that drops in the west. We get some ridging over the weekend. The GFS insists, by the way, that this vortex, something forms up. There's a vortex up in north of Alaska, uh, and you can see it there, and it's going to rotate around a little, and then it starts to drop southeastward, and heads over towards James Bay and into northern New England on early next week. And the GFS has this quick shot of what looks like rather cold air for the beginning of next week that would last about a day or a day and a half, and then that pulls
Right.
out. Okay, I was looking at this and
In fact,
thinking.
if you look on the
Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
if you look on the if you look on the GFSX, the extended GFS, the tabular numbers at White Plains, mind you, wind velocity or wind speed for Monday morning, 30. Now it's rare enough when you see winds that far out at 20 or 25. They're telegraphing, Joe, 6 days in advance, 30-mile-per-hour winds. If that were to be the case, we'd probably be looking at high wind warnings on
Yeah.
Monday, if that verifies. So, and it also comes, as you just mentioned, with a rather precipitous or decided drop in temperature from what we'll see on Sunday versus what we'll see on Monday and Tuesday. So something apparently they apparently are making a lot out of that upper air system going across the Northeast and inducing not only cold but also wind conditions here as we kick off the start of next week and the start, by the way, of a new month. This might be
Yes.
the March Lion
Well,
arriving.
it could be, but it also goes to where how I think something might happen, and just follow me on this. So I was looking at this, and there's some ridging that is building westward from the Azores to Iceland to Greenland. The upper low winds up dropping into Maine, and I was looking at this and say, too bad there's a kicker right behind it, because if there wasn't, or if that kicker was a little bit delayed, you could get this upper low to drop down further to the west, and that would open up an opportunity for maybe something to happen here snow wise early next week. But that's a long shot in my book, given that there's a kicker behind it. What I mean by a kicker is another system that's rolling along, kind of that just basically punts the one ahead of it and just punts it out. But but my point is that even though when you look at the overall pattern is nothing like what it was for the 3 weeks that started at the end of January. Uh, how it would snow is inside this unfavorable pattern. You get maybe a day or two where it lines up just perfectly that you wind up with some sort of weather system where you have some cold air around. That would be the way that would be the way I think something could happen in the next couple of weeks.
Let me point out that it was about this time last week that there was a lot of, I mean, not a lot of, a lot of chatter, but there were grumblings that or rumblings that on Friday of this week, we might have a storm threat. There was
Right.
some
With this
talk about a system coming up out of the Gulf and high pressure building across the Northeast. And hey, if that storm comes a little further north and the high builds further south, and I said, I don't even have the energy to think about
right,
five
exactly.
5 days out. Let's just play it. And of course, naturally now there's no sign of that whatsoever. So
Right. I don't know, and I get that, but I'm just saying that if it's going to happen, if it's going to happen in the next, let's say, 2 weeks, it's going to happen where you get something, you get something in that northern stream comes down and basically sets a table up for about 2 days, because it's not going to be a 3 week long pattern where you're basically in that bowling alley and you're the head pin, and each one after another comes your way. This would have to be something that sort of finds a way to do it, because you get sort of a brief window where you get the flow from Canada, the energy's all in the right spot, you've got some cold air around, but again, it wouldn't last for more than a couple of days, and then you would just go back to the same nonsense that you are. Let me just acknowledge, by the way, Digger 310, a generous super chat hit. Thank you so much, Digger. Most appreciated. He says, thank you, Joe and Joe, for all your great forecasts, especially in the last couple of weeks. Really most appreciated, Digger. Thank you very much indeed. All right, so
thank
that
you.
go ahead. Yeah, that upper low pulls out. We're back to sort of a westerly flow here. Now we're into March 4th with a trough in the west, and mostly, it's some kind of upper low that it forms near Bermuda. The the longer range toward the end of the forecast period, it gets a little more interesting to me because of the fact that it looks like the EPO, the East Pacific Oscillation, is going to try and go negative around, say, March 8th or 9th. You get an upper high that's building over Alaska into northwestern Canada, and the ensembles were showing this overnight. The European ensembles were showing it also for the long range. So maybe after around March 10th, maybe there's a window there, say between March 10th and March 15th, where you could get a chance for something to happen. Again, this would be this is, and it won't be anything that will be that obvious to you and to us until we probably get into the short range anyway. But I'll just put that out there. I still think there's going to be at least one more opportunity for snow between now and the end of March. I'm predicting that.
Well, once we get to St. Patrick's Day, the odds of heavy duty snow rapidly diminishes. So at least that's in my
Although we did get it in 2018, so and that was, I believe, was after St.
yes,
Patrick's Day. Yeah,
yes.
no, you're right. The instance of a big snowfall after mid March is it drops fairly quickly. It would have to be an almost perfect. You'd have to get the blocking back. No, you'd have to get the blocking back. You have to get and you absolutely have to have the negative EPO. You have to get that negative East Pacific Oscillation to bring colder air down from Canada. Otherwise, it would be a really tough sell.
So we'll see. All I'm asking for is for Central Park 1.8 inches more. That's all.
That's all he
I don't want
wants. Give
I
him
don't want
his.
10 inches or 50 or whatever like that. Just a couple of inches more, and I'll be happy.
And you should be.
And
Okay, so weak front tomorrow. That goes out. Cold high builds in. Temperatures looks like seasonal Thursday and Friday. Low 40s for highs, 20s for lows. That much talked about southern system is that's the shower activity you see in South and North Carolina, and then that high goes out to our south and east, and it looks like we'll probably bring in a little bit of rain here later Saturday into part of Sunday. And then we've got this, that big upper low dropping down, Joe, with that cold shot of air. The 18Z GFS has a low in southern West Virginia that starts to deepen as it moves off the New Jersey coast. It actually changes, as it produces an area of precip where it changes it to snow, upstate New York, like Albany and points north, and in, western and northern Pennsylvania and northern New England. And then the low deepens as it moves out. But that's cold air that's coming down. And as you said, the gradient is pretty tight here
Right.
going through Monday and into Monday night. The upper low settles up in northern New England, or what is that, a 480? I can't, 498, 492, 480. It's a 480 thickness into northern New York and northern Vermont. We're down to somewhere between 510 and 504. So that's a heavy duty quick shot of cold air, and then just as fast as it comes in, it pulls out, and then you're back to what looks like a benign looking weather pattern for the end of next week. And after that, we'll just use our imaginations as far as what may or may not happen.
Just looking here on the chat board, people are talking about, they're talking about the fact that there's talk already, Joe, of some kind of a major winter weather maker by around the 19th or 20th of March.
Good Lord.
Then somebody mentioned, then somebody talked about the April Fool's storm of 1997, which dumped about a foot of snow up here in Putnam and northern Westchester. And Barry Goldberg asks about who remembers April 6, 1982. That was a storm that was the first ever blizzard in April, came on the first day of the baseball season at Yankee Stadium and dropped about 10 inches of snow on New York. I remember that one well. That's, you do get these freaky systems that come along every once in a while into the early part of April, and then those were a couple of them.
Oh, by the way, speaking of snow, the NWS Eastern Region put this up today, and I just grabbed it. I don't know that everybody. I'm going to try to make this a little bigger so that everybody can see it, or try or attempt to. I'm not going to have success here. It's going side to side. Hang on, let me see if I could try. There we go. Maybe that's a little better. Okay, so it's got all the cities in the Northeast, their snowfalls compared to normal. What's interesting is Syracuse, okay, which has got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 6 of the major cities in the Weather Service Eastern Region, which by the way goes all the way down the East Coast. They're number 6 with 60.8 inches. They are 36 inches below average. The average as of this date is 96 inches. Okay, Binghamton is the number 1, and no surprise because 42 of those inches were from back in December, 90.4, and the season to date normal is 59.6. As far as the New York area numbers are concerned, we are running, if you look at Kennedy, New York City, LaGuardia, and Islip. The Islip normals are wrong because the data is all messed up over there and has been for years. But when you look at their numbers, we're all double the normal as of this date. So for the winter's over crowd, it didn't quite work out well for you, now did it? You knew I was going to get that in. Philadelphia is running above normal, even with the planes blowing the snow off the end of the runway. They still managed to measure 23.1 inches there. Washington D.C., which their average at this time of year is 17.4, they're only at 11.8, and Baltimore also 16.7, and they're only at 10.1. So it's been kind of interesting because a number of all the snow threats have underperformed in that particular area for some reason, and of course we all know that the jackpot zone has overperformed in a big way, and that includes northern New Jersey. Bridgeport is 19.6 on their normal, which I don't believe. 43.3 is where they're at for snowfall, and we're not that far behind. Cleveland, I thought, would have had much more up until now. They only had 43.2. I was kind of surprised. I thought that number would have been higher. They were at 48.6. 48.6 is the normal. 43.2 is what they have. Scranton, the normal 31.6, 50.2 for their number. Allentown, 24.6 is normal, 53.2. So also more than double the normal there. Let me see if I can find Harrisburg. Where are you? Are you on here?
Ruben Fairchild on the chat board is asking Joe, can you give a link to that snow table that's on the screen right now?
Oh, okay. So I pulled this up off of Facebook. So if you go to Facebook and you go to the NWS Eastern Region, okay, they posted this today. Um, what I'll do is in the I'll save it and I'll post it somewhere. I'll post it somewhere for everybody to see. I'll put it up on my website and then I'll put the link up to. I can't do it now, but maybe tomorrow. Be able to do that. But if you're on Facebook, just go to NWS Eastern Region, and then it's about the third post down that this is up. I was looking for Harrisburg. Where are you, Harrisburg? Blacksburg, Virginia, 22.7 versus 19.4. I would have thought they would have been more above normal than that. Harrisburg, 22.8 is the average, and they're at 32.4. So you get most of the cities are above normal, but there are some spots. There are the seasonal snow holes, as I like to call them, that always show up somewhere.
Now you see Boston, Massachusetts there with 38.4 to date. Normal for them is 31.
I would have thought their number was a little higher.
Well, yeah, they're about seven. They're 7. Joe, you're bouncing the thing all over the place.
I'm sorry.
Boston is 38.4 to date. Normal is 31.4, so they're above, but only by about 7 inches. I mention this because on this very day, 52 years ago in 1969, we here in the New York metropolitan area got about an inch of wet snow that changed over to rain. But we were actually very, very lucky because while we were going through that, Boston was in the midst of a massive 3-day snowstorm, which, when it was all over said and done, had dumped 25 plus inches on the Boston area. It was their famed 100-hour snowstorm. You thought it was all, the way we had it last week. 100 hours of snow, 25 plus inches. We were like on the back edge of that storm, and all we got out of it was just an inch or so of slushy, wet snow. Meanwhile, in Boston, it just kept snowing hour after hour after hour after hour. And I guess if it took 100 hours to get to 25 inches for them, the snow really wasn't falling at a very heavy clip at any one time.
Right.
Because it was just like a steady, continuous snow that just mounted over a span of several days. But that was what was happening on this day in 1969.
Mark G wants to know where Smat Amat is, and I'm still missing in action. Timothy Veltman mentioned to me today that it would be a good contrary indicator if Smat Amat were to show up again to proclaim that the fluke winter was over.
Barry Goldberg mentions, I didn't know about this. Maybe you knew about this, Joe. Alan Casper apparently had just gotten married in 1982 and flew back to New York from his honeymoon in Florida with permission of his wife so he could witness the first ever April blizzard.
I'll have to verify that. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. There's another weather person. There's another weather person whose name will never be mentioned on this show, who came back from Hawaii to be on the air, but the reason why he came back was a little bit different. Again, I'm not going to say anything more than that, but I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll ask him about that. But I don't recall. I don't. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. I just don't recall it. Then again, I can barely recall what I had for dinner a little while ago. I just remember that it was delicious.
Yes,
Yes,
we
indeed.
had we had something. We had something. Maybe my wife will put it on the chat board.
Mr. Ruben Fairchild, no, it's not it's not the person that you mentioned on there. It's not him. Okay, I promise. I'm sorry, Joe. What you were saying?
We we had we had we had a very delicious meal tonight up here. I just simply don't know or don't remember or know how to pronounce it. I would
Kokova?
I no. It sounded like a one of a Soupy Sales song from way back when. It sounded like Pafalafaka, but Pafalafaka is never forget about what Pafalafaka is.
I'll tell
But
you
it's
what.
like that.
I mean, it was. I threw this together because I had really didn't have any time to get fancy. So I made, I made some zucchini with a Parmigiano Reggiano cheese sprinkled on top, and then I made steelhead trout on the stove on my cast iron skillet. It was absolute heaven. It was delicious,
All
and
right.
I'm not a big seafood eater, but this was just amazing.
My wife on the chat board now, she says we had bake
Oh, tilapia.
tilapia. Tilapia.
Okay,
All
so
right.
we both had fish tonight, but
Yes.
I had steelhead trout, which
Okay.
it was delicious. It was absolutely delicious.
Well, the dinner tonight, the tilapia was delicious. Mashed potatoes, broccoli, carrots, all good and healthy things that will help me live for another day
Oh,
and help
okay.
her live for another day too.
Tomatoes, carrots, potatoes, peas. Your mama
Yes,
says you got to eat a lot of these.
please.
Macaroni alphabets, you toss in a scoop. Then you put them in a bowl and call them Campbell's soup. Mr. Reuben Fairchild asked would I explain why I think that the islip snow normal is wrong. The reason why the islip snow normal, there's two reasons why. One is when you compare, and I did this research back years ago, and I bring this up every time somebody brings up the islip normal. When you compare the normal at Islip to the normal at Brookhaven Labs, which has a data set that goes back almost as far as I actually goes back a little further than MacArthur airports, the numbers are just way off. The normals at Brookhaven uh, prior, if you want to use a 30-year average, well, that's now in the low 40s. If you want to use the long-term average at Brookhaven, it's probably at about 33 or 4. So the islip normal is something like 19 is like which was 19 or 20, which I thought was ridiculous. I lived 2 miles north of MacArthur Airport. Trust me, it was wrong. So when I went back and looked at the islip data for individual snow days, I discovered that prior to I'm going to say 2005 or 2000, right around 2005, the airport used to shut down at night. So if there was if it snowed at night, it didn't get measured. And so there were snowstorms that I found throughout the early part of the 2000s that were completely missing, just not there. And we're talking about events that produced 8, 9, 10 inches. And then somebody would come in the morning and maybe take an with how much snow on the ground, and then you would see that it would go down as 2 inches or no inches at all. So there's a lot of missing data given the fact that the airport used to close at night. So that's why the normals at Islip
They
aren't what
didn't
they
even go. They didn't even go outside and measure using a ruler on the planes.
right.
I
No,
found it.
exactly. As opposed to the car tops. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's so that was kind of interesting because I literally lived as the vulture flies 2 miles northeast of MacArthur Airport, and I can tell you that those 2 miles made a big difference, even when the numbers were right, because of the topography of Long Island. I was on the other side of of the spine that goes up into Bald Hill uh, in, um, in Selden, which is the town next to me, and that's up about 450 feet above sea level. So that 450 feet made a difference, but so does that ridge there. So because we would get wind coming off the sound, and there would be a little bit of Long Island sound effect, and it would add extra inches to snowfalls a lot of the time. So that's the so I'm believe me, I'm telling you that, I'm right about this. Okay, I know it sounds strange, but I'm right about this.
So there
Uh,
you are.
yes, so there we are. Steve Lapointe talking about salmon, albacore, whitefish, some other fish are the best because they have omega fatty acids. That's that they do, and it was delicious. If steelhead trout tastes just like salmon, by the way, and I got a fresh piece from the supermarket here, and it wasn't farm grown. It was wild, and as I said, I'm not a big seafood eater, but this was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. So anyhow, just trying to think if there's anything else going on. I have nothing much else on my menu here.
No, I
So
think the most exciting thing may be as we get closer to the weekend, see whether or not that system is as robust as the GFS is advertising it to be now. So we'll see. Uh,
uh,
so
uh,
again, looks kind of quiet.
all I season the fish with, Mr. Rubin, is I just put some granulated garlic on it and some coarse kosher salt, and I cooked it in olive oil. There's a little bit of olive oil for about like 10 minutes, 5 minutes on each side on a medium heat. It was, and I still have half the fish left because that's going to be my dinner for tomorrow. Oh, Christina Pedia said I've accidentally had squid. That's yeah, calamari. It's if you have had fried calamari, you've had squid. It was the nastiest thing I ever had throughout the whole
Oh, come
meal.
on.
I didn't
Oh,
eat for the rest of the day. Well, how did they serve it? I mean, I don't care for it except when it's fried. But if you've had fried calamari, that's squid. And yes, I want I specifically I go to restaurants, and when I ask they got fried calamari, I ask them, you got tentacles, because I want the tentacles.
yes.
Yeah, that's the
I
best
loved it.
part. I can't stand it when they have the calamari on the menu, but they only have the rings. They don't have the tentacles.
Correct. It could the and I used to have calamari. My mom for St. Joseph's Day, Joe. That was my St.
Yes.
Joseph's Day
Mm-hmm.
meal. It would be spaghetti with marinara sauce with calamari with the tentacles on top.
Yes.
Not moving, but but I love that. I love that. Calamari is one of my favorite dishes. And yes, I'll take if they have the rings. I'll take the rings. One time I was on a cruise, and my sister was. It was midnight buffet, and I told Renata, I said, I'm just going to go downstairs because I know my sister's down there. Just want to say a few words to her, and then I'll come back. And I went downstairs. I said, I'm not going to eat anything. There she was on the line. I'm moving along the line with her. All of a sudden, I saw this gigantic vat of calamari rings. And I just looked at it and looked at it. And I just grabbed the plate and started scooping onto my plate the cow. And like my sister said, I thought you said you weren't going to eat anything. And I did my imitation of Yukon Cornelius. I said, Behold, the bumble's one weakness, calamari.
Calamari. Yes. Savage Stuffed 20 says going to have a nice Cuban cigar tomorrow afternoon. Good for you. Enjoy it. Just seeing sardines, Craig Carlberg, not my thing either.
You sure you don't want this cigar, Joe?
No, God forbid. That thing's going to turn to dust if you ever smoke it.
Don Leo
Oh,
got
good
this in
Lord.
January of 2000. So this just celebrated its 21st birthday
I pray
in
to
my
God.
drawer.
I pray to God you don't ever have to that the Mets don't win a championship and you like that cigar, because when you do,
It's the
you're not gonna like it.
the only stipulation is that the Mets either have to win the World Series or I have to win an Emmy. And since I'm out of television now, I put it all on the Mets. But now that they got this multi-zillionaire buying off for every great player, who knows? This may be the year when the cigar. I'm only going to take one puff, Joe. That's all. One puff.
All right.
I'll tell you what. Even if it was a good cigar, I wouldn't know the difference between a good cigar and a lousy cigar. So,
Oh. By the way, we have 22 likes short of 100. So If you'd like to hit the thumbs up button for us, that would be great. Joe and I would appreciate it greatly. We're on a streak here. We've broken 100 every night for quite a number of nights. In fact, I even broke 100 last night. I was kind of surprised.
Amazing.
But if you could take us over the top, that would be terrific. And you can also want to be part of the
I'll
chat
tell you
board.
what. If right now, if we get to 200 tonight, I'll smoke the cigar. No.
Right? No, we're not going to do that. If you want to be part of the conversation, just use your Gmail account to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can join in on the chat board with everybody else. I just saw. What did I see? Oh, Sierra Sight says scallops. She can. Okay, I didn't read the one. But my problem with scallops though is I'm okay with scallops, but they just don't really taste like, they really don't taste like anything. They're very bland. You have to kind of wrap them with bacon or something. I've had when you have them wrapped with bacon, you're eating bacon basically with filler. But I mean, scallops are okay. Breaded, little breadcrumbs and fried up a bit. Um, that works. Savage Stuff says I should smoke a cigar on the stream. I'll tell you what, though, what I will do. Um, if it happens that we get a very warm Sunday while I'm down here for the time being, if not now, when I come back, and because my plan is, Joe, I'm gonna on Sundays when the weather gets really warm, I'm going to take this outside. I'll do the show from outside, and yeah, then I'll smoke. Then I'll smoke a cigar while I'm doing the show. Yeah, it'll be like George Burns, exactly. Northern Grace, yes. Um, I can deal with the fried clam, says Carlberg. Craig Carlberg, sorry. I can deal with the fried clams as long as they don't mess with with his dentures. Okay. All right, good. So, that's good to know. You don't want to lose your teeth while you're having clams.
It's amazing that he mentions that because before dinner tonight, I had mentioned, I don't know why I mentioned it to Renata. I said, you remember that night when Warner Wolf was doing the sports and his dentures fell out?
Say that
Did
again.
you
Oh,
that
Warner. Yes, yes, I remember that. Yes, I did. I
I'm
remember when
embarrassing.
that happened. One of television's great moments. Oh, good
All right.
lord! All right,
Come on, we're one away from one more like, for God's sake.
you're right. We're at
99.
99. I'm at 98 on my screen. It's odd. You're up to date on the likes, and I'm but the feed is about 20 seconds behind, and I'm one behind on the likes. Oh, now I'm at 99.
There we go.
Which
We hit it. We
All
hit
right,
it.
bingo. So our streak of 100 continues.
Yes.
And we almost pushed it over to 8:30. All right. Oh, you know what? I think I got a Briller Jeopardy here. Hang on a second. I've almost forgot. Sorry, Scott. I
Mr.
heard I heard my phone bell ring in the other room, and I just looked up and I was like, "Oh my God, yes, we got it." Oh, that Steve Lapointe telling me we got 100 likes. Let me see. Scott left me something. Here we go. Um, hang on a second. Um, Scott says he sent you 5 messages. Let me see. Do I have a Briller Jet? Oh, here's a Scott Briller fun fact. Okay, so of the previous 9 Februarys that Central Park recorded at least 25 inches in the month of February, the average March snowfall was 4.5, and it ranged from as little as a trace in 2010, uh, when they set a record of wait a minute from a trace, and then in 2010 they set a record of 36.9. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm not understanding this. Um, the range is from a trace in 2010 to as much as 8.6 inches, but then he's got in there, it says in 2010 when they set the record of 36.9. So I'm not clear, what that means, but usually the average is 4.5. So currently
Right.
Central Park has 26. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm not. It's not clear to me what that paragraph is saying. But it's interesting to note, Joe, that if we just get the average snowfall, you will be taken over the top with
Yes.
with your 40?
Well, as I said, 7.7 inches, anything over 7.7 at Central Park in December, 9 times out of 9, the overall amount of snow was 40 plus inches. So now, in order for that to make it 10 out of 10, we need just about, again, 1.8 inches of snow to get to 40. So let's do it.
Right. We also have, by the way,
And who am I talking to? Am I talking to you up there? Can you do that for me? 1.8 inches more
yeah.
for Central Park?
And by the way,
Give me.
the .4 that the park got yesterday. 22 straight days with at least an inch on the ground. The record is 56 in 1948. And I thought he sent me a. We have, by the way, we do have the next time we have Renata here on a Sunday. I've got the questions for that too. The chairman is working his COVID run tonight. But yeah, he sent you 5 messages, just so you know.
Okay. I have not looked. I tell
When
you,
you
I have not
take
looked
off, you
much.
take off.
I take off, yes, because I
Yeah.
live down here. My Renato refers to this as my man cave.
Yeah.
Oh, he's always downstairs. I probably see less of her now when I'm actually here physically in the house than I did when I used to go to work.
But you are working when you're downstairs. It's not
Oh
like
yeah,
it's not
I'm
you're
doing all
working.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah. You're
Yeah, well, I'm doing stuff.
yeah, you're working. Okay.
Yes.
Quote, you're working. No, he really does work when he's downstairs.
I can't believe
You got all that other stuff you do.
I can't believe. Well, you set me on library talks, and it is amazing how many talks I'm lining up, especially later on in the spring. It's like incredible. What blows my mind is that I'll be able to sit right here, not leave my house, but sit right here and do these talks. You know, it's it's like incredible.
Yeah, I don't have a single one book, but actually I do have tomorrow. I have I'm going to be joining the Stony Brook Meteorology Club. Stony Brook University Meteorology Club are going to be doing something on Zoom. I'm going to be doing something on Zoom with them tomorrow
Isn't it
morning
amazing
sometime.
how our lives have changed so much in one year? If you had asked me a year ago what Zoom is, I would have had no clue. I would have said Zoom was a TV show for kids back in the
Yeah,
70s. And now who doesn't do Zoom?
yeah,
Everybody does.
and the truth is, um, even when things eventually get back to normal, there is going to be a certain part of the work environment that is going to remain at home on Zoom. Uh, you know, there's going to be a lot less business traveling, and they figured out that hey, you can do it from home, and certainly Zoom was a big part of this. Um, and they picked the right name for it because it became a verb.
Yeah.
Their brand is a verb is a common verb that everybody uses now.
And Renata just mentioned on the chat board, but first he has to straighten up that room. Does this look like a mess to you?
No, it looks
I mean,
perfectly fine.
it's
It
fine,
looks lived in.
Yes. So
Exactly. All right.
I'm going to call it the rumpus room.
Yes, exactly. When Mr. where what's his name was Ramsey.
Ramsey.
Yeah, I forgot his first name.
I remember the son's name, Bruce Ramsey.
Bruce Ramsey. I forgot what. Well,
I forgot what the father's name.
the actor was what's his name?
Frank Nelson.
Frank Nelson. Freddie
Frank Nelson.
Fillmore.
Freddie Fillmore. And his wife was Mary Jane
Mary
Croft.
Jane Croft. Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well.
Every time my wife and I have a rumpus, I end up down here.
I can't believe I can't remember the Ramsey. Ralph Ramsey.
Ralph Ramsey. Okay.
Yes. Because stood out in the episode with Barbara Eden.
Yes. Oh.
Right.
Buenos
Dias Senior. Yes.
I saw an interview with Barbara Eden where she alluded to that episode, and she said if there was one thing I learned real fast, It was stay away from Desi.
Yes. Well, listen, let's say goodnight because my Perry Mason chime on my phone is ringing, so somebody's trying to call me. So
All right.
thanks everybody for being here. Appreciate it. And we will see you tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern Time. And thank you for the super chat hits tonight from David Fuller, Doug Wetzel, and Digger310. Thank you all so very much. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.